Once again, I just want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank our candidates that are going to be in, here tonight and speaking. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Brian O'Malley. I'm the Richland Township Democratic Chair. We have invited other communities here. We have a lot of people from West Deer Democratic Committee, some people from the Hampton Democratic Committee. Always happy to have our communities working together to elect Democrats out in areas that aren't considered Democratic by numbers. So with that, I'd like to introduce Lissa. She's run for State House. Her district is Richland, Shaler, Hampton, Fox Chapel, and O'Hare.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me tonight. As Brian said, my name is Lissa Geiger Shulman. I am running for State House because Harrisburg really isn't working for working families like mine. And I'm going to start by telling you a bit about when I realized that, which was this summer. I was sent an article by some work colleagues. Professionally, I work on a campaign to expand affordable childcare, quality childcare for all Pennsylvanians. And so the headline of this article dealt with women candidates spending PAC money on childcare, big FEC decision, very exciting that happened. And it asked, what about Pennsylvania? And the article went through some of the barriers that women face running for office, obviously childcare and having a family being one of them, access to financial resources and donors, a number of other challenges. But really where I got stuck in this article was there was a quote by a former statewide elected official that said, if you have children under high school age, then state office is not for you. So a bit about me. If my mom were here, she would tell you I am stubborn. And by that I mean, tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it backwards, in heels, and while pregnant. So that's what I'm doing. And part of the reason is I realized that working parents and working moms like me are closest to some of the problems that we're facing in our economy right now, and we know how to fix them. So I'll say what I mean by that. We have a historic workforce shortage. Everywhere you go is hiring. And yet at the same time, we have this lack of good family-sustaining jobs. So there's a few things I would be fighting for in Harrisburg on day one to fix that. It starts with not allowing employers to pay poverty wages to their employees. It's also making sure we address the rising costs of health care, the cost-sharing burdens that are being pushed down onto patients. It's addressing the lack of affordable quality childcare. It's one of the #1 barriers for working parents to enter the workforce or remain in the workforce. And it's paid time off to be able to care for yourself when you're sick, to be able to care for a loved one, whether that's an aging parent, a sick spouse or sibling, or a new baby. So there's one other thing too I want to touch on in the economy, which is the fact that rights to organize are under attack at every level, from the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. to Harrisburg. They're constantly under attack. And we know that when working people are able to come together and organize and sit at the bargaining table, they're not only advocating for some of those policies I just mentioned to get good family-sustaining jobs for themselves, they're also thinking about the people they work with and care for, the growing caregiving sectors of our economy like nursing and home health care and child care. They're advocating for things like safe staffing legislation, or access to child care subsidies for low-income families. So they're advocating for what's good for our entire communities. And we need to expand the ability to organize and really go on offense on those issues in Harrisburg, and that's what I intend to do. I'm going to touch briefly on my experience as a public school teacher. I've really seen educational inequity firsthand, both across districts and then within schools within the same district. And I think there's a few things Harrisburg can be doing on education that would really help to maintain the quality of our schools and increase them. So it starts with investing in the critical developmental period between birth and age 5, when children's kind of social and emotional foundations are being built. then it's making sure that we move away from the sort of punitive approach towards teachers, really putting them under examination, and instead investing in those people to be leaders in their classrooms and leaders in school buildings, our principals, and making sure that they're able to be creative and do what's best for their students and have the resources to do so. And then finally, on the state assessment side, it's moving away from the drill and kill memorization that our state assessments are driving towards, and recognizing that the skills our employers are looking for in employees are creativity, collaboration, teamwork, conflict resolution, the soft skills, massive gaps in those, and making sure that our schools have the ability to do authentic project-based learning that helps our students to gain those skills. So I'll wrap up a bit by just sharing why I think I'm somebody who can deliver results on these issues, because I think it's really important not just to know the policies, but also to be able to do the job of a legislator. So for the last 4 years, I've been an advocate in early childhood for expanded pre-K and evidence-based home visiting programs for new parents. And in this, despite a really challenging fiscal picture at the state level, I've won about $100 million of new funding for those programs over 4 years. And the way that I've done that is working with legislators across the region, about 50 legislators in southwestern PA. And going in, I've gone into some of the most far-right, conservative, ideologically different legislative offices and been greeted with a hug. And I cringe, right, thinking about some of the things I see on their Twitter feeds or some of their public statements. But I'm also able to sit down with them and have a really good meeting that has good outcomes for kids. And I think it's that ability to bring people together and find common ground that I plan to do not just with my colleagues in Harrisburg, but back here in our districts, bringing together our local municipal leaders, our local school board and school district leaders, and community leaders to talk about what are the regional issues and how do we work together to leverage state resources and solve them. So I'd be honored to have your support for House District 30. Certainly Richland is in here, but West Deer, we know there's going to be a big fight as well in November, and this is a really winnable seat. I'm excited about the work ahead, and I'd be honored to have your support.
Well, let's get a round of hand for Lissa. Thank you.